Moore's 2432 horsepower ROI des Belges tie 1904. This 24/32 horsepower four-cylinder Moore's represents the pinnacle of veteran motoring, built by a firm that had more than earned its laurels in the epic city-to-city races of the early 20th century. It is a large 5-seater Brighton car which has the capability of carrying 7 people utilizing the rear-facing upholstered bench seats. The Moores Company was founded by Émile Moores, who was one of France's leading electrical engineers, heading one of the country's biggest telegraph, telephone and electrical equipment factories. He had built a 3-wheeled light steam carriage in the late 1880s, pioneering the use of oil as a fuel, and displayed it at the 1889 Paris Exposition Universelle. He built 7 or 8 of these steamers, but realized the limitations of the design, and in 1892-93 made petrol motor trucks for light railways to an English design. He built his first petrol car in 1895. Powered by a rear-mounted air-cooled V4 engine with water-cooled cylinder heads, it had coil and dynamo electric ignition. The Mark first appeared in competition 2 years later, when Émile Moores finished 7th in the 106-mile Paris-Dieppe race in a 2-seat 5-horsepower Moores at an average of 19.6 miles per hour. 2 4-seater Moores finished 6th and 7th in their class, only averaging 12.2 and 11.9 miles per hour. Serious racing began in 1899, when the company's new chief engineer Henri Brazier designed front-engined 4.2-liter 4-cylinder racers on Banhard lines. Declared the Parisian Motor Review, there began a struggle for supremacy that forms the most brilliant page in automobile history. The new Moores, built purely for speed, eclipsed everything in that year by winning the events in which it took part and raised the record for long-distance races to 37 miles an hour. That record was made in the 163-mile Paris-Bordeaux-Biarritz race, the last contest of the old century, by Levg, the nom de course of the rich amateur Alfred Velg, driving a Moores with a distinctive wedge-shaped bonnet. The ensuing battle on the roads of Europe between Moores and their chief rival Panhard Levasseur created huge public interest and, noted Motor Review, the popularity thus given to racing did a vast amount of good to automobilism, and the struggle itself had the more important result in compelling the makers to surpass each other in the building of speedy vehicles. Racing certainly did the Moores image a great deal of good. From 200 workmen in 1898, by 1904 the workforce had risen to 1,200 and Moore's immense factory in the Rue d'Outre in Paris was turning out 2 cars a day. Victory in the 1901 Paris-Bordeaux and Paris-Berlin races were further triumphs for Moores, whose racing achievements peaking in 1903 when Gabriel won the truncated Paris-Madrid race by reaching Bordeaux first in his streamlined Moores Dolphin at an amazing average speed of 65.3 miles per hour, only to find the race had been abandoned because of the number of accidents en route. Describing the 1904 range in its issue of May 14, 1904, La Vie Automobile declared, "The approach of the eliminating trials recalls the sporting successes of the House of Moores. These are cars designed and built with a scrupulous care that has always been lavished on its creations by the great factory of the Rue d'Outre." There were 3 cars in the lineup, all with 4 cylinders, 14, 19 and 24 horsepower, and all with pressed steel frames capable of accommodating side entrance coachwork, designed and built to take long and relatively heavy bodies. All had T-head engines and there were 4 speeds forward and reverse, with final drive by side chains. A handsome new design of shouldered radiator had been adopted in 1903, which, writing in La Vie Automobile, Count Mortimer Ingret remarked must necessarily be the most beautiful ornament of any self-respecting up-to-the-minute automobile. Top of the range, the powerful 5.5-liter 24/32 horsepower had a decompressor that lifted the exhaust valves at the start of the stroke to ease starting. This device had been adopted from the firm's racing cars. This particular 24/32 horsepower English license Moores is one of the first generation of Brighton Run cars that took part in the event before World War II. It was discovered in 1938 by Harold Arthur Pierpoint, who entered it for that year's run. It must have been a last-minute effort, for the car was only registered the week before the event. Unfortunately, Mr. Pourpoint does not seem to have recorded where or how he found the car, but it was one of the first 100 veterans to be officially dated by the Veteran Car Club when the process was instigated after the war, and was awarded Certificate No. 99. It was in action soon after the armistice, appearing at the VCC September 29 rally at the Ely Hotel in Camberley, where Bill Body of Motorsport noted, Pourpoint's 1904 English license ROI de Belges was silent, accelerated well and displayed excellent Blériot headlamps. It successfully finished the first post-war Brighton run in 1946, there was no run in 1947, and in 1948 Bill Body was again smitten, describing the car as a truly beautiful 1904 touring English license Moors with chain drive, white painted front tires of small section and big Blériot headlamps. Over the years the Moors, which Michael Banfield acquired from the Pourpoint family on New Year's Day 1975, has been a consistent and reliable entrant for the Brighton run. It also has full weather equipment for the inevitable wet Brighton. Refurbished in 2004 to Michael Banfield's typically impressive standards and newly coach painted in 2 shades of green, this outstandingly handsome veteran is up and running and ready to take to the Brighton road as reliably as it has done for the past 3/4 of a century.